Hey, hi, hello. You are listening to UW Comedy Hour on Rainy Dog Radio. UW Comedy Hour airs every Saturday at noon, available at rainy.dawg.org. If you can't listen in at noon, go to UW Comedy Club's YouTube channel, see older radio episodes and full performances from members. To hear more, you can follow Rainy Dog on Instagram at rainy.dawg. UW Comedy Club is the best and only stand-up comedy club at UW. To hear more from us, including performer highlights, show schedules, and meeting links, follow us on Instagram at UW Comedy Club. We have meetings every Wednesday at 6:30. There's absolutely no experience required, so rustle up some cattle, drop them off at home, and join on in. Today in the Knot Studio, coming off a recent all-digital fart sand tour, we have Nick.
Wait, who's that? Oh, wait, that's me.
That is
Yeah.
absolutely insane. All
Yeah.
right.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah. Nice sunny day to be inside.
Oh, yeah. No, I absolutely love looking at this great weather we have and squandering it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Feel like I Weiwei, just breaking a priceless vase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Nick, is this the first time you're on the radio show?
Yeah, this is the first time.
Oh.
Exciting.
Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? What do you do outside of the club?
Yeah, so my name's Nick. I've been in the club for a little over a year. I joined pretty much, January 2020. Well, I don't do anything right now because you can't do anything, but I did play, I do play trombone. I played in the jazz band and the marching band. And then I'm a graduate student, so I work in a lab on campus. Mm-hmm. Comedy Club is definitely a good place to relax because some of my colleagues are a little too stiff sometimes. So I get a little tired of that.
I imagine. Yeah. The difference between like a STEM-based group of people and a performer-based group of people is wide.
Yeah, because you join a Zoom meeting. It's just like nobody has their camera on. Mm. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna do a PowerPoint presentation now. It's just like it's so depressing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I feel that. So it sounds like you're not well. I'm not going to talk shit. You said you're in jazz band. How do you get into comedy, Nick?
So I kind of feel like I was always like a comedy fan. Like when I grew up, like comedy was around in my family. I think growing up, I watched, this is like early 2000s. I grew up watching Saturday Night Live a lot, particularly when there's a lot of bits that I really like, but that was back when like Jimmy Fallon was on and Tina Fey was on.
Yeah.
I think my favorite bit was the news, where they would do I mean, they still do it today, but it's a different.
The desk, yeah.
Yeah, the desk. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of, and then like John Oliver kind of took that and made it his own thing and stuff like that. And then my first like comedian that I really like watched a full special and kind of like thought was really cool, and I started watching comedians after that, was Jim Gaffigan's Beyond the Pale.
You are the only other person I've ever talked to in comedy who has like Jim Gaffigan as their break-in.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah. I mean, that came out in 2008, I think. Yeah.
I think that was the first special I watched too. I like watched it with both of my parents.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the jokes are funny each time. I don't know what it is, but his other ones are decent too. But it's like that one I can watch over and over again. Like the Hot Pockets are just like each time it's still funny.
Which is so hard to do because if once you lose the surprise, it's basically like coasting.
Right, and he talks about food in every bit, almost every special, and somehow he comes up with new stuff, which surprises me. Mm-hmm.
No, it's always surprising, like, what you can actually make into a topic and what you can actually, like, stretch.
Mm-hmm. And then he makes fun of it. He does the audience voice, too. Mm-hmm. He's like, why does this guy keep talking about food? If he does another Hot Pocket joke, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah. No, self-awareness is power. Why the fuck am I talking like an NPR radio host? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. No, I've never heard Jim Gaffigan again. Like, I watched him and Jim Brewer with my parents.
Okay.
Where, like, Jim Brewer is also, like, a SNL alumni who does, like, a lot of voices. He called in a fake bomb threat at Sears using one of his voices as, oh, God. someone who was in charge of Libya at one point. I'm not going to tell his jokes, but no, I feel like a lot of people have a similar path where you break in with like some comedy. You just like the idea of comedy, and then you find people that you like, and that's what like you really start to ramp up into it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, because I like some of the other comedians that I like. I guess Tom Segura,
Yes.
uh, Zach Galifianakis. Actually, I saw him live somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a because I'm from Los Angeles, so um, in Hollywood there's a club called the Baked Potato, and it's a place where you can order almost everything, except it has to be in a potato. So it's like, yeah, I'll get the chicken parmesan. All right, here it is. Wait, what's this thing that it's in? It's a potato. But and what comedians do in LA is that they like try out stuff,
Mm,
and so we went there, but you wouldn't know that he was there unless you were bought the tickets online.
got it.
So like it says, okay, this is the show, but what he's actually doing is he's trying them out.
Mhm.
So okay, they do a whole music thing. That's the real bit. Everything goes silent, and then he just walks out, and then he pulls up a music stand, and then puts his notes there, and then his opening line was something like, "Yeah, guys, this is gonna be quick. I got a DJ set at the Levi store," and then he just tries his bits, and it was pretty funny.
Nice. That sounds like it's so like because when you see comedians touring, like I've been to, I think the only show I've actually like been to in person when in person still existed was like a Patton Oswalt show with my
Mm,
mom. But like when you see them perform there, like it's polished, it's down. Like I imagine at some point it just gets like muscle memory. So the
mhm.
difference between like seeing that and like seeing, I don't want to say raw. That sounds so fucking
Yeah,
rock
like
music.
he would just say the joke, and
Mhm.
then most of them people laughed, and he would just pause and then turn the page, and then I mean that's what a lot, like even on the Laugh Factory. Do you
Mhm.
watch the
Oh
Laugh
yeah,
Factory YouTube channel?
yeah.
Um, it's the jokes that they try there, and then they perform on like Jimmy Fallon or
Mhm.
something. It's the same stuff.
Mhm.
It's like I know there's one by Harlan Williams where he does the same joke in the Laugh Factory, and he does another version on Jimmy Fallon.
Mhm.
And I've also been to the Laugh Factory once, and I have to say they only put the good stuff on the YouTube channel because when I went there, it was pretty bad.
Oh god, the like crushing, like performing at the Laugh Factory and then waiting for your video to go up and it just never shows up.
Yeah.
Like that monument to how bad you sucked being always there.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
god. You tell your friends to look for the video, they'd keep asking you why it's not there.
Yeah. But I've been checking some new people out too because I like I started liking Mark Norman. He's kind of,
I think I've heard of him.
yeah, he kind of has that he has that tone to his voice where he's like comedy. Ah,
Ah,
I'm Kevin Hart.
gotcha.
That's the guy. Yeah, he's good. And I started looking at Sebastian Maniscalco.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He's interesting because he doesn't his how he tells a joke. He doesn't really have like a setup punchline. He just kind
Mm.
of describes like he's very observational. He just describes something and then like just tells it in a funny way.
God, that's difficult.
Yeah.
So, what made you want to join comedy club? Like, there's a difference between like enjoying comedy and then deciding that you want to make it.
Yeah, yeah. It's well, when I did jazz band, and that was kind of my I guess extra hobby outside of doing school. And then I decided to stop that, and then I had this extra space, and I actually saw one of the flyers on a pole somewhere, and I was like, "Huh, really? There's a comedy club here. That's interesting." So I looked up. There's a YouTube channel, and I watched most of it, and I was like, "Yeah, that seems. Yeah, I think I could do that." So I did, and then I actually emailed Maddie. I was like, "Hey, can I join a meeting?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, just come in." And then I come in, and every when your first time in the meeting, you just sit in the back,
Mhm.
and it's like, "All right, we're gonna do an improv game now." I'm like, "Okay."
No,
and
God.
then eventually each meeting I just moved up a row,
Yeah.
and then eventually I shared a joke, and I'm like, oh, some people like that. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah,
I went through the same thing where like my first meeting was in the smaller room. I don't think you ever saw it. It was like half the size of the meeting room and it was just chairs like squished together. So my first I just like tried to trickle my way into the back and not make eye contact with anyone. Like I don't want to be
yeah,
called on for an improv game. I don't want anyone to think that I have something for them. I don't. And my second, I remember like preparing a joke to like joke share and literally seeing like my t-shirt move with how hard my heart was beating. And then going up and like, I don't know, having all that tension pay off and then just shaking and sitting back down. Fun
yeah.
time.
Even now, I don't really like sharing jokes over
Mm.
Zoom. I feel like that's harder.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
yeah, it's like I don't know. There's something that's not there, like that
Yes.
third dimension that's not there.
Yeah, the
Uh,
the Z axis is where all comedy's located.
yeah, right.
No, it's very like business formal. It's like trying to be funny over Slack. Like it doesn't happen. It doesn't connect. I once did a performance in a fully lit conference room for some like women in business, women in STEM meeting. They for some reason wanted to have like a comedy club stand-up person there. So it was someone talking about like her work as a woman in the finance field and then a hard-hitting poem about like feminism and misogyny by this really great high school student and then me talking about dreams. So it's like performing in a really like with canapes next to you fully lit is so different and performing over Zoom like you're missing something, like you're missing the energy of other people around you.
Mhm. Hey, how was that? Like, what did they
uh
like? Did they
um
understand what was going on?
no, I think they liked it. It's definitely weirder because it it was like there were all these circular tables arranged basically in like a circle around me. So I kind of felt the need to like keep turning as I performed. Which is weird when you have to like normally you can just stare one direction, but now you got to kind of go radial.
Yeah.
It was definitely different, but they were conducive. They were able to laugh. Thought it was
All right.
funny. Glad to
Oh,
see
no,
women in stand up, I guess.
yeah. I know you mentioned. I think one or it must have been the radio show last time. Let's see. I think Taylor Tomlinson is not bad.
Yes.
And then I like Chelsea Peretti as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think she is better in Brooklyn Nine-Nine than she does stand up.
I think so. I think there are definitely comedians who perform better in different areas because like if you look at sitcoms and you look at we even talked about this with Jane the last time I was on. When you look at sitcoms and you look at stand up, like the medium's so different. Like, yeah, it's comedy, but like, are you able to play off other people or do you just have to like play off yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the character Peretti plays in Brooklyn Nine-Nine is like so strong and so specific and like so good to put in situations that it really shines. Like it
Mm-hmm.
just takes what she already has and like puts it to the next level.
Yeah, like I watched because I was curious.
Mm.
I've watched Family Feud many times with Steve Harvey, and I checked out his old stand up, and it's like okay, like I can see like where he started, and then when he got to Family Feud, it's like all right, yeah, that's where he's great,
Hmm.
and it's
Hmm.
like same with like Steve Martin, like he did stand up too, and he
Hmm.
wasn't. He was okay, and then when he started writing comedy, like for movies and stuff,
Hmm.
it's like that's where he got it.
Yeah, different people have
But
their different niche. You mentioned John Oliver earlier. Like John
oh
Oliver
yeah,
used to do stand up, and like you said, it's okay. It's fine, but like he shines like a different
yeah.
area.
But somehow Jerry Seinfeld just does both.
Some people can do a lot.
Yeah.
Some people definitely can't. Have you ever heard of the show Mulaney?
Yeah. I think you talked about it,
Yeah,
but no, I haven't seen it.
yeah, it ran for 6 episodes and was not picked back up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no one's seen it, Nick. That's the point.
No one's seen it. Actually, I have probably an unpopular opinion in comedy club. I actually don't like John Mulaney.
Oh, do you want to expand on that?
Not really. I just it was pretty much where I wasn't really familiar with him, and then I
Mhm.
found like when I joined the club, I was like, oh, everybody likes this guy.
Yeah.
I think I've heard a few jokes from him, and then I watched like 20 minutes of like a
Mhm.
best of, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. I don't know.
No, I get that. I'm not
I
gonna.
think it's more. I think I'm more of a fan of like that. I think it's probably like his personality because I
Mhm.
like the kind of like deadpan serious,
Mhm.
like people who tell a joke as if it's like whatever,
Mhm.
but it's like yeah, I don't know.
No, I get that, and like you don't get to. First of all, I don't think comedy club's gonna throw you onto the street for not liking one comedian.
Oh yeah,
But like, I think what people like about comedy is so specific to them and their own tastes. Like, it's pointless to try and convince someone to like a comedian. Like,
yeah,
you can't logic someone into thinking something is funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, some people, a lot of people like him. I do.
Yeah, so as I kind of referenced earlier in your all digital fart sound tour, you did a really interesting bit for the Dog Day show. How do you go about like writing material like that?
Um, yeah, that one was interesting. And what I do a lot, there's one thing that I do in my department when I do presentations. There's one presentation that we all do where we have to monitor the experiment within our group. So we have an experiment that's just sit somewhere and we have
Mhm.
to like make sure that it's working and everybody passes along this task of monitoring it for the week.
Mhm.
And then you have to make a presentation each week in the beginning of the call. And it says in the instructions, don't be don't be afraid to put jokes. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm going all out. So what I would do is I would tell the presentation like, oh yeah, it's okay. So today the temperature wasn't affected the detectors in some way, but it's just like there's just a bunch of stupid
Mhm.
stuff on the presentation that um, I just fly by as if it's
Mhm.
normal.
Mhm.
So I took that concept, and then I don't know, I was getting into like some like production
Mhm.
with like Logic Pro and stuff, and I was like, huh, what if I just mix something that's just like totally bizarre, and I just say it like it's
Mhm.
normal, and it's just somehow I think that's funny. It's just
It's
like, all right,
good.
yeah, let's take a look at the sound here. Uh, yeah, that's a nice sound. Let's do that. It's just I don't know, it's just funny and it's also like it's super simple. It's just kind of
Yeah.
silly.
No, I think you really excel at that because, like, the key part of that bit seems to be like able to keep a deadpan the whole time,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
that's something that you really shine at. Which sounds like I'm complimenting you on not having feelings. I'm not.
yeah. That's it. I think it's more of like I like it when I see it in other comedians is when they don't laugh at their own jokes.
Mhm.
It's like they say the punchline and they just say it
Mhm.
and then they don't laugh. Just like for me, somehow that's just more funny.
No, I feel that. Yeah. One of the kind of a tangent, but like when I started watching The Daily Show again, like after Jon Stewart left and Trevor Noah had taken over, like one of the big things I didn't like about him is like, oh, he just keeps like laughing at his own jokes. And like the what kind of speaks to me is like he was laughing at his own jokes, but the jokes weren't funny. Like it felt like there was a disconnect between there where it's like it just seems like a laugh track, like
Hmm.
I'm supposed to be laughing because he's laughing. Is like, are you trying to trick me? Is is that the goal here?
Yeah, and that's not to say that I don't like
Yeah,
people that are animated.
yeah,
It's just it's just like I don't know, for when the punchline comes, it's like
hmm,
okay, now you laugh. And it's like you're saying, "Oh, it's supposed to be funny."
hmm,
But
exactly.
I want the surprise of, "Oh, it's funny," but you're just saying it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there's a difference
Yeah.
between like animated and like that kind of pushing for it. So how like I also think that that bit you did for Dog Days really uses the fact that we have to perform on Zoom to like the best level. Like in
Hmm.
the show we just performed, on the 23rd. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. The TED Mock show, like, we all have to focus on doing that. Like, it's all presentation based. Last year's masterclass whole show is the same way, like using the fact that we have to do it on Zoom for comedy instead of just keeping a screen and dead barreling the camera, which I find to be really difficult.
Yeah, actually, that's probably more comfortable for me because I do presentations all the time, and I guess since I've practiced just like putting just like weird stuff in my slides, I just kind of go over it. Also, there was one time where it was popular was like these drink talk learn parties. There was a band party for that where we picked a topic and we had to explain it in 3 minutes. And if you went over, you had to take a shot for every minute. So then I just did some like physics thing where I just like made it funny and in 3 minutes.
That sounds delightful. I think
so like everybody's drunk or high, just like listening to it. So I just like, and it would be like stupid stuff. Like I just have a slide that just says NASA, and everybody just like, it's just like I just flip the slide.
That sounds like a great rule to try and introduce to some of my professors, because 450 means 450. But
oh yeah,
God, that sounds delightful. I can't wait to see another person in Meat Space again, who I don't live with. What would you recommend to someone who wants to start writing comedy?
Well, I would say that, and it's different for each person, but the easiest thing for me is to come up with the material, and then the hardest part is actually like turning it into a joke. It's just like, I feel like if you read the news every day, there's at least one thing that is just like, that just comes out that's just weird, or it's just like, an afterthought of, oh, that's kind of a weird concept. Like, I haven't written a joke about this, but there's a park nearby that I live to, and for some reason, every time when a dog comes up to me, and then the owner calls the dog away, it's always like a regular person's name. And it's like, what? Like I don't know, there's some black lab that came close to me, and it was just, and the owner was like, Samantha, come here. I just thought I haven't written anything about that, but I just thought that was a funny concept, and that's just something that happened. So it's just like, I feel like the material is everywhere you look, but it's like, how do you make it funny? How do you replicate that experience for an audience to show why you think that's funny?
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, everything's out there. You just need to make it something.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for talking, Nick. After the break, we're going to be back talking about some roommates. The bad, the worse, and the unhygienic. So stick around.
It's not illegal to not listen to music. It's illegal to be naked. What's the point in thinking I have got to create my own language? You ain't been doing the education. You don't realize I'm so frustrated. People think a lot about my motivation. It's very like megalomaniac. You ain't got the answer. You ain't got the answer. I have a condition called synesthesia, where I see sounds, I see them. It's racism's cousins. I see sounds. I could probably be a professional plastic surgeon. Only I would say the most influential person in footwear right now. Just talk to me like I'm a 4-year-old. The ultimate goal is to be like water. I see stuff from the future. I'm such a like futurist. I wait too hard college. You ain't been doing the education. I from the Institute of Chicago. So, have y'all ever seen Wreck It Ralph? It's in my clothes. It's in my clothes. I am Wreck It Ralph. It's in my clothes. It's in my clothes.
Everybody says, who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was. A guy.
That was Kanye West interviews as a Tame Impala song by Nick Let's Go. Nick, before we left, we were about to talk about roommates. Now, personally, as someone who has made a lot of good material out of having some pretty shitty roommates, I love a good bad roommate story. I feel like they're perfect icebreakers. They're the ultimate equalizer. Like, everyone loves to shit talk about bad roommates. I'm really excited to hear yours.
Oh yeah, especially because it's like, I don't know, right now you're either with roommates or you're not, and you're with them all the time. It's just like, I'm here working from home and boom, there's one, there's one, there's one. Oh, there's one up there too. But yeah, no, I've also like started, I haven't shared it. Like at this point, I've shared enough where I'm confident on which jokes I think will land. So I do have some roommate jokes that are being written now.
Oh my
But
god, it's
I
like
guess-
a baked potato.
Oh, it's like the baked potato. Yeah, but let's see. Have you ever considered getting a dog or a cat during college?
Oh, is this an actual question or setup?
This is a setup for the. I was gonna tell a story.
Okay. Keep going.
No. Well, if anybody wants to get a dog or a cat or a pet while you're in college, don't. Because what was it? This was back in. This was probably like This was 6-7 years ago. So this was when I was in marching band, and I had some band roommates and then some friends of friends. But one of them wanted to get a dog, and we don't have a backyard, and this guy has never taken care of a dog before. Oh, you want a dog? Which one do you want? German Shepherd. Have you taken care of one? No. I'm like, okay. So we get the dog. First thing, oh, we don't have a backyard. Okay, then it starts peeing on the carpet. Nice, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually, this was during band camp. I woke up early one morning and thought, is there something in the air, or is this I don't know. Maybe I just need to open a window or something. No, I opened the door and there's just a big shit right there.
Yeah.
And then I took the shit and put it next to his door.
Yeah. No,
Right?
it's not yours to clean.
Yeah, right. And then you think it's over, right? But it's not. The other roommate wanted guess what? A cat.
Of course.
And of course the cat and the dog did not get along. But that cat also made me not like living with cats. Because what that cat would do is, it'd knock stuff over and be whatever just all cats do. But every time that I go and have like oatmeal or cereal for breakfast on the table, the cat would just jump up, sit like right next to the bowl, and then try to eat it while I was eating it, or just try to like pat it down. And then you think it would end there, but then my roommate who had the dog was like, "Hey, I'm actually gonna dog sit this other dog too." I'm like, "What?" And then one day at home, there's this little dog there with the other big dog. But not for long, because the next week I didn't see the little dog, and I asked, "Hey, where'd it go?" And it was like, "Oh yeah, we lost it." I'm like, "What?" Excuse me. And then when I didn't think it was over, I thought it was over. But then he dog sitted another dog, and this was the band assistant's dog, a little I don't know, those little dogs that nobody likes, one of those. And then I guess after seeing the big dog do it, then the little dog peed on the carpet. And then I don't know. I think we fooled the landlords because we got a sizable security deposit back. I don't know.
Oh my god, lucky for
Yeah.
you. We
And,
act.
and then we had a roommate that would grow weed in his room. That's it.
I can't believe the audacity of like, I can barely take care of one of these animals. I want to get someone else's
Yeah.
in this shared living space.
And I think the cat was free because I think somebody had like a Craigslist ad to like watch their cat while they were away, like traveling or something.
That's a
So-
trap.
Yeah.
It takes a really special animal to turn you off a whole species.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my I have a roommate now that has a cat, and I was like, all right, second chance. And nope, this cat is also awful, but in a different way. Like each
Oh.
cat has their own personality, and this cat is like a really young cat, so she wants attention all the time. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then she also knocked over a plant vase and
Oh,
a
classic.
few other things. And
Classic.
then there's also hair everywhere, and I gotta
Yeah.
vacuum it up. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Earlier this year, we moved into a new house, and like at this point, we filtered through like 3 different people, 3 different new roommates. The first one who came and left had this super young cat, Sam, human name. The person's name was the funniest part is the person's name was an object, and the cat's name was a person. So we constantly get them mixed up. But this cat was super young, and its person was always out of the house. Like they were just MIA for long periods of time, which meant that the cat never got attention, meaning it always wanted to be like in your lap, in your food, everywhere on top of you all the time. At one point, it climbed to the top of our fridge and decided the best way to get down was to jump directly onto my bare shoulder.
Oh,
Just digging deep on in there. Like the first
with the
week.
claws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Love having scars from an animal that wasn't mine and that I didn't like, with no good story behind it. The first week we were living in this house, the cat got lost. We looked for it for 6 hours and eventually had to round up a crew of our neighbors to get the cat out of a like 30-story tree next to the house. We literally had like a member of an older lesbian couple across the street climb up this tree, put the cat in a pillowcase, and hand it down to a 10-year-old boy who had also scampered up the tree against his mom's wishes. And then like hand the cat to us. Still have to get them an edible arrangement. I feel
yeah.
this the
It's not that I don't like cats. It's that, like, if I go over to somebody's house and, oh, yeah, there's a cat there. Yeah, that's fine. It's just like the constant dealing with a cat in the house.
Yeah, I think it's like being a parent versus like being an uncle, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you're a parent, they're like always with you.
Yeah, and then she goes over to see her boyfriend over the weekend and just leaves the cat here.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing here? Do you pay rent too?
The cat should have to go with her. That's my opinion.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sometimes it does, but not all the time. But how about okay? Instead of the pets, what about the people? So there's this one time I had to find a replacement roommate for the house that I lived in previously, and at that point it's like, it's like graduate students coming in and whatnot, and all you're doing is kind of just video chatting with them to say, okay, yeah, you seem like a decent person, but it's like you can't really tell like, oh, what kind of a person they were. So it's like, all right, yeah, you speak, you come here, and it's like, okay, this guy's got a mental problem. I don't like. Have you ever had roommates who eat with their mouth open, like real loud, his technique was very interesting. So what this guy would do is he would bulk buy a lot of foods from Costco. So he would have the same lunch for like a week. Or same dinner, like like chili cheese hot dogs, 3 of them, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
For a meal to repeat, that's such a bad pick.
Yeah, and then the next time, well, he made some other like cool stuff like beef stew and
Mhm.
stuff. And he told me that he could eat a stick of butter. I think I was saying something like, yeah, I don't really like steak all that much because it's too fatty. He's like,
Mm.
oh, I'll eat the fat. Oh, I'll also eat a stick of butter. And I'm like,
Well, you know what they
What?
say? The base of the food pyramid is just butter, but
yeah. But yeah, this guy he would have an interesting technique. So he'd make this soup that's I guess really hot, and what he would do is he would fill his bowl immediately, and then what he would do is he would take a scoop, and then he would just blow on it, like maybe 3, 4, and he'd just and then he would just do this no matter what. Like if we're all just watching a football game, like I think we were watching the Super Bowl, and then he was just like, is it okay if I sit here? He's like, yeah, sure. It's like, and touchdown.
Nick, this is an audio medium. How dare you do that to me?
Exactly. I'm giving you the experience.
Yeah, listeners, you didn't have to have the visual on that. That's horrifying. I'm so sorry for you.
And then he also got a girlfriend the same time. And his girlfriend is just like him.
Oh, opposite. Just the awful people terminating together. That's how it works.
And then, like, I don't know. There was another time where we were watching something, and he just made like pancakes for dinner, and with his girlfriend, and then he would eat there slobbering the pancakes, and his girlfriend would just like stare at him, and that's it.
Absolutely horrifying. So, what the fuck is it with weird couples? Like, not one person who's like that by themselves is bad, but when you get two of them together, they just, I don't know, feel free to do whatever.
Yeah.
I've made a bit about my freshman year roommate who would just make cat noises at her boyfriend, like for hours continuously. She would be playing League of Legends, meowing at him. They would not be looking at each other. And he would just respond to her as if she was talking to him.
Oh,
the whole time.
What's the meow? Like, is it like to get attention?
I have no idea. You know what, Nick? I didn't ask any follow-up questions on the meowing.
You just observed and thought,
yeah. Didn't really want to be involved in that. No.
Yeah.
She tried to give my name away.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, in our house also it was a very old house. So the walls were super thin. So you could hear, if you were on the middle floor, which is where the kitchen and the living room was, then you could hear what was going on upstairs, and you could hear what was going on downstairs. And I don't think this guy cared or knew the concept of judgment. Of like I don't know, keeping some things to yourself and some things not. But it was there's one bit, I think I did the IKEA bit where I made like a squeaky bed noise.
Possibly. It's ringing a bell.
Yeah. Well, so I use that, and that's me terrified at how squeaky their bed was, and that I could hear them, getting it on like several floors down, and it almost sounds like that the door was open. So I'm like, what's going? And even worse. So he goes home during the pandemic,
mm-hmm.
and then he comes back, and one of my roommates scolds him for not, wearing a mask, and he's just bringing a girlfriend in who we know is not quarantining, or probably not. And he goes up there and he tells him like, "Hey, you need to be more responsible." And he just freezes. Okay. And then he goes into the room. They bang. Boom. Gone.
What a choice. Yeah. I can't decide if it's worse if he doesn't care how loud they're being and knows they're loud, or has no idea how loud they're being. I can't decide which of these is like worse for you.
He was just kind of like a very loud person. So I'm thinking I don't know, he might have just like not thought about what he was doing and how other people were thinking of him, I guess.
That's just his baseline.
Yeah, I don't know. And I would feel bad if he had like, I don't know, some some mental problem or something, because that would be, I don't know, it might have, like, I don't know, he could have had something,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Never really sure. And at some point, you don't want to know. Sometimes roommates are friends, and sometimes they are just people you live in incredibly close quarters with.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you get along, and sometimes you might not get along.
Yes. I always thought it was a bad idea to live with friends. I'm breaking that soon. I'm having like a middle school friend move into the house. So hoping that sticks. We're all cool with cleaning, so we'll figure that out. But after like 8 months, we're finally fully moving into the house. Along with what I realized yesterday, something is moving in under the house with us. I was doing yard work outside, and I just saw like a busted piece of sideboard laying next to the house. And I was like, huh, I saw that hole a while ago, and it wasn't that big. So I just picked up like assorted bricks the landlord had in the backyard, just chunks of concrete, regular stuff, and just tried to fill it up as best we could.
Was there something living in there?
We don't know, and honestly, I don't really know how much is my problem. Early on, living in this house, the roommate who lives in the room across the house said, "Hey, Bella, have you heard like scampering in the walls?" And I said, "Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I haven't heard scampering." Because at that same time, we were dealing with both bed bugs from a couch. One of the roommates decided to move into the house off the side of the road, and fleas from the cat that I mentioned earlier. We've had everything in this house. If anything else happens, it's none of my business.
Oh, yeah. The last house we had rats, so I am a expert now at getting rats.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time to learn how your house works.
Yes, it's
for later.
Yeah, it's a good time to learn like, oh, I don't think there should be mushrooms growing behind the sink. We should probably call the handyman about that.
Oh yeah. Like I just learned like how like a dryer works, because our dryer broke, and then we had a problem with our circuit breaker, which I was like, okay, now I kind of get what what this is for. And it's kind of amazes me, because we got so all of us are graduate students except for two, and one of them lives downstairs with us. And we had a problem where the circuit breaker for their side of the house was keep breaking. And I don't think this guy knew how to solve problems. Because what he would do is we would just hear it go off, and then he would come out, where are the lights? Where are the lights? And he would just come out and then flip it back on and then go back in. And then at one point it just went off like 3 times in a row. And then eventually it was like, okay, this got to be something silly. And then we open his room, we go inside, and we see just like a charger on top of charger on top of charger on top of charger. It's just like
God.
5, 6, 7 chargers plugged into one thing. And then when you lifted it, it flickered the lights. I'm thinking, how do you not notice that?
Oh,
What's
God.
going on? So eventually we're just like, here's a power strip. Just
please, for the love. How could you be so like at this point of your life and not have a power strip just somewhere around you? I thought like once you moved out, one just like apparated in your bags.
Mm-hmm.
That is like one butterfly wing away from a fire.
Oh yeah, dude, this thing is saving your life. You don't just flip it back on.
You can't just be like, well, I'll just keep trying and doing the same thing I've been doing before that hasn't been working.
Yeah,
oh, God.
right.
Hot to the touch.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the like genre of roommate that's almost the hardest to live with. Someone who's like, I don't know how to solve problems, and I also don't know how to use Google. Like at one point, this house, on top of bed bugs, fleas, and something under it, had ants like coming through a pillar in the kitchen.
Oh.
And one of our roommates was like, we don't fucking know how to deal with the ants. We need ant traps. We need you to come and buy ant traps. And the first search on Google of how to get rid of ants tells you everything you need to know.
Oh yeah, I just clean it up. I don't know, spray. I looked up like the guy who was like, yeah, I think I don't know, maybe the wires aren't that good. Yeah. I'm like, no, buddy, I Googled it. The most common error is user error, and that's you, buddy.
So weird. This other side of the house, the same house that you live in, is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
No, but it's got to be the wires and not the red hot stack of chargers. Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And this guy too, it was interesting when I was advertising to find roommates, it wasn't him that contacted us. It was his girlfriend.
Oh no.
It was like, I'm looking for a house for my boyfriend.
Like trying to house a lost dog.
Yeah, yeah. It's also kind of interesting to observe other people's relationships, because there's a girl who lives upstairs, and then there's him, and it's like in this guy's relationship, he's the it's like his girlfriend runs his life kind of. Because there's one time where she came home and it's like, it's time to get ice cream, and he's like one of those like, okay, yes.
Oh no. Oh no. Are
like,
either of them having fun?
I don't know.
God.
Yeah, if you ever think of somebody like that, you always just think of a boo. Just like that. This is what I think of.
Just the sound of like a compressing balloon. Just a pop tire.
Yeah, there's that double standard where it's just like she looks all put together, you know.
Oh yeah, that's classic.
She's nice. She's nice to talk to, and then the guy is just like, a boo.
Yeah, it's the Homer Marge. It's the Mike and Molly, a sitcom I haven't seen. It's the classic. It's the classic. I think if someone just like gave her a hobby, like here's some yarn and some knitting needles, I think they'd break up.
Yeah.
You just need something to schedule around.
Right.
God, that sounds like the not the worst possible relationship to be in, but from both sides, either like having someone basically like parent you, like take you to ice cream, let's make sure you get to soccer, make sure you get a house. Yeah. Like having essentially like dating a parent or dating a toddler that you have to take care of. Bad on both ends. I don't know why anyone would want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, he's a nice guy. He's just a little, he's just a little on and both of them are nurses. So I always think like, what is he like when he comes in and he's like, hi, I'm your nurse. I don't know, maybe. And also, we're in a pandemic too. So maybe it's just like not feeling it. But.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he just burns like all of the energy being a good nurse. I remember I used to work with kids and just like burning through all of the smiling energy, all of like the, hey, let's do something together. I want to like help you with your math homework. Like burning all of that in such a short time, coming home and just essentially turning into a puddle.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like I can understand like, okay, I understand what you're doing.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about bad roommates. What do you think makes a good roommate? Or at least a bearable roommate?
Bearable roommate. That's interesting because, let's see, my first year of undergrad, I lived in Poplar. And I had a roommate who he wasn't like interesting to talk to. Like he was a very boring person, but he was like, it's almost like I didn't even know he was there. It's like, but is that the best? It's like,
I don't know.
It's like, is that good? I don't like, he wasn't an asshole. He wasn't that. He was just like, sometimes I didn't think he was there, and there he was. And
I don't know, because interesting can mean a lot of things. Interesting can be said in a lot of different tones. Because you can have friends that are really interesting, but if they suggest you go on a road trip with them, you'd think twice about it.
Right. Yeah, because and there was one time where I was in an apartment where I knew everybody, and it was all band people, and I got introduced to all their friends, but then I got to put up with everybody's partying, and I want to go to bed early, and then it's like there's still stuff that I have to do with.
Exactly.
But this guy was just there. and it's like it's nothing. He didn't. I don't know. He seemed clean. He seemed yeah, he seemed fine.
He's
But
essentially
he's
just
just
a
like,
piece of furniture that moves itself around.
yeah, kind of like that.
I think there's definitely positives there. Clean is such a big one. Like, I'm of the opinion where like living with someone should be not an active stressor on your life. Like that should be the lowest amount of difficulty you have in your day existing in your own space, especially right now since like this is our only option. Because like before you could kind of just disappear into a library to do work, but now it's just here. And like having small things like a roommate that like doesn't sweep, or a roommate that like always forgets to move cups from counter to sink, like those
Oh
things
yeah,
pile up.
yeah. Or one thing that's let's see, there's a pump next door
Mm,
that pumps the water so it doesn't get into the basement.
mm,
Um, and it was having problems, like it was beeping. So I had to go, and this guy was gone over winter, like kind of like January, February. So I had to go into his room to like push the button so that would stop beeping. And then eventually we got a replacement, so we have a replacement now.
mm,
But I had to contact the landlord,
mm,
and we both had to come into his room to, take a look at the pump and
mm.
see what was wrong. But it was that moment that when we left, he looks back and just looks at the floor, and it's just not unvacuumed, never touched, just all this shit. I'm like, oh crap! I'm showing it this guy my roommate's room, and now, and he's just like concerned that the floor just doesn't.
Yep. There's a certain way landlords move about the house of theirs you're leasing where it's like, I don't know what they're taking notes about in their head, but I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, it was that because we were leaving, and he just takes a second look, and he's just like that face, just like,
The face of like, you're not getting the deposit back.
oh, well, maybe not that, but
Yeah.
yeah, no. I was thinking I should have showed in my room, just like, hey, does this make you feel better?
Make up some reason. Like, I think I heard some beeping in here too. By the way,
Yeah,
look how nicely dusted all these fixtures are.
yeah, right. Okay.
Back to comedians, Nick. Do you have anything else you want to end on?
Let's see. Another thing that I've been watching was, and I didn't watch this when it was on TV that much, but was Impractical Jokers.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
You see, it's actually pretty funny. It's basically candid camera. They do like it's a group of four guys, and then they do stupid stuff. Like one of them that I remember was you had to go in the grocery store,
Mhm.
and then and you have to put pencils into people's pockets without them knowing. And then whoever had the least amount had to do the punishment, and then the punishment is usually something really embarrassing.
Mhm.
Like I think one of them that I remember is the guy had to give a speech at a wedding that
Mhm.
the other guys wrote.
Oh
The
no.
the bride and the groom were in on it, but the all of the people who were invited weren't.
Oh no.
And I was saying if we ever go back to in person, I think it would be funny if like the comedy club expanded and just did like funny stuff on campus.
I think that'd be fun, especially since we're trying to like expand out the YouTube channel a bit more. I don't know, get people more involved in like comedy outside of stand up. Like we have
Yeah,
improv clubs on campus, but I think not to talk shit about the collective. The collective is a great club, but I think their improv has like a different tinge to it, maybe less like beginner open.
yeah. I mean, this would be improv too because they
Yeah.
talk to people and they're like they have to like tell them, hey, you have to say this and then do something with it. But it's like a real scenario.
No, I think that'd be good. I think that'd be good to like expand out into.
And then or even just like one like a lot of bits in talk shows like Conan's bits, or even when Jay Leno did this thing called Jaywalk, where he walked around and asked people simple questions,
Mhm.
and they would just not know the answer.
Mhm.
I think even that would be funny too.
I think
So
it'd be a good time.
Yeah.
A lot of good ideas. A lot of good ideas. Now, I think I've also heard of a show like Impractical Jokers called Fear Factor,
Okay.
where they basically did the same thing where they had, well, not the same thing, but they had almost the inverse. They built like all of these scenarios and invited people who were unaware of what was happening. One that sticks out in my mind is someone who just gets hired at a new job at a meat processing plant. And they have like actors in this fake plant, and someone, I remember this because I really didn't like it, someone gets their hand pretty graphically torn up. And looking back on it now, it's like, oh, we were just able to do anything, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, even some of the jokes in Impractical Jokers,
Mhm.
since it was, it probably aired probably like the early 20, maybe 2010 or
Mhm.
something. That's when it might have been when it started. Uh, but yeah, some of the jokes in there, they probably that show probably would not be around today.
No, a lot of like the social engineering shows, anything where it's like, let's interact with strangers who don't know what's going on. I feel like
Yeah,
those are quick to age.
yeah. Or I think I remember from the radio show last quarter. I think we talked. I don't know who you talked or Jane talked about with somebody was doing other people's sets.
Yes, as a possible like comedy club party show.
Yeah, or even just a show like everybody writes their set, writes their notes
Mm-hmm.
as they would normally. It's like, all right, here's a set, and then like an hour before the show, you just trade up, you
Yep.
just pull out of a hat. All right, you're gonna give your set to Valerie. Okay,
Oh
there you
God. I am imagining you performing one of Tyler's literature sets and
go.
getting quite a kick out of it.
Well,
But no.
the thing is, like everybody does their notes differently,
Mm-hmm.
so you would get it, and it would just be a bunch of I don't know, either bullet points or full script, and you're like, oh crap, okay, what do I have to, what do I do with this?
Yeah, not only do you have to like figure out how to perform it well, but you have to like decipher their own language. Like
Yeah,
looking at my last set notes, it's just a mess of like different colored highlighters that all mean different things that I didn't label out.
yeah.
Now, I still think that'd be a good idea for a show. Messy, but
Like I'm not good at the improv, and
Mhm.
I guess I'd like to get more creative
Mhm.
in how to do improv. Because for me, like jokes have to like sit in my brain
Mhm.
for like I don't know a few months, and then eventually while I'm just like cooking dinner, it's just like, oh yeah, I could add that.
They've got to age like
But
wine. Now, I think improv is the thing that everyone looks at and you're like, oh, I could do that easily. Just go up there and say whatever. But then you actually try to improv and you fall directly down a huge flight of stairs. Like being up there and just feeling all of the silence crush in, looking out and being like, oh, I need to say something, but I've forgotten all words in every language.
yeah, it's just for everything that I guess performance wise that I've ever done, I've always had to prepare something. Like, okay, I'm doing a
Mm.
presentation, I prepare for it. Or I play in a concert. Okay, I gotta have the music. I gotta or for marching band, I gotta have it memorized and I know exactly what it is.
Mm.
But then the first time that I did jazz, the director's like, "All right, you're gonna do a solo now.
Ugh.
Here are the changes. Make it up." And I'm like,
Horrifying.
what? Yeah, the first time it was horrifying. It was like in sixth grade at some I don't know salsa restaurant or something, just like bam, 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 yay!
Great work, great work.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening to UW Comedy Hour. Tune in next week at noon where I'll be speaking to the local minor god of architectural law, Valerie. Make sure you follow Rainy Dawg on Instagram at RainyDawg for more great radio. Follow at UW Comedy Club on Instagram for show schedules, meeting links, and more. UW Comedy Club has meetings every Wednesday at 6:30. Keep listening to Rainy Dawg Radio to hear Calling from the Funhouse with Bill Pepsi.